welcome, Laura Pearman. Brand defining, is that the right word? Brand defining?
I say career defining photography for ambitious business owners all over the world when we're not in lockdown. Now I've added that little bit on the end.
Well, anyway, welcome. Thank you for joining me in the Limepixel Limelight. It's lovely to chat to you. And we've connected over Instagram, and that's how we've kind of got to know each other. So thank you for agreeing to take part in this feature. It's lovely actually to speak to people outside of my local area. I'm a big fan of supporting small business, and that's where this Limepixel Limelight came about really. It's just to chat to people, find out what they're doing in their business, how we can kind of reach new audiences, make new connections, and just support each other really. So that's like the premise of Limepixel Limelight. So again, thanks for joining us. So tell us a bit about what you do then.
Okay, so hello, if you don't know me, I'm Laura. My business is called Laura Pearman Photography, and like I just said there, I shoot career defining photography for lots of different types of entrepreneurs, and it's usually all over the world when we're not in lockdown. In addition to that though, I'm really passionate about helping people build up their confidence. It can be quite a scary thing, I think, especially when you're first starting out in business, to think, well, I am my business and now I've got to be the face of this business as well as run the thing. Like, who do you think I am? And it can be really challenging for a lot of people. So quite early on, when I niched down into doing the branded headshots and photography, I noticed that there was this whole group of people who are just terrified by the prospect of even having a camera in their face, never mind becoming the face of their brand. And it really started, I found it really hard because I can't help them as a photographer. People have to be ready, and they have to have, jumped over so many hurdles before they're willing to invest in working with me as their photographer. So I thought, well, how can I help more people in a different way? And that's why I launched the Selfie Skool. So the Love Your Selfie Challenge is like this free 5-day challenge that we've had going for a couple of years now, and we're getting some really good feedback. People are trying this out and they're doing it all on their own. It's like a little 5-day course with lots of silly inspiration, things that are designed specifically to get you out your head, to play around with, and lots of technical phone like learning how to take good pictures on your phone. So right now, because all of my work that as a photographer has gone, like I was going on tour and all sorts, but now that's up in the air. So now I'm kind of focusing on that. And I've found that it's going to be really interesting to find out from you, actually, from the people that you've spoken to. I've noticed that you're putting people under this limelight, which is a great idea. But I think we're really seeing a divide now in the entrepreneurial space, where you've got some people who've just gone, right, we're in lockdown, screw it, I'm giving up. And then you've got people who are getting on with it and making stuff happen. And I suffer with depression and anxiety, and me getting on with something and promoting this and talking about it has really helped my sanity while we're in lockdown. Have you noticed this as well, Stacey?
Definitely. I think people have gone through different phases and also speaking for myself, my moods have been up and down, and I've been all over the place. And I think normally in a normal situation, I'm pretty on a level, but but it's interesting you say that those first few weeks people kind of went into shock, and it was like, what do I do now? And a lot of businesses were kind of sort of shutting down and hiding away, and then there was those that were like, right, what can I do now to get out there? And it's interesting what you say about the kind of selfie and putting yourself in front of the camera. We're now using more technology like Zoom and becoming more visual, but talking to each other virtually, recording ourselves and videoing ourselves. So I am finding that there's sort of two sides to the coin really. Those that are a little bit like, oh, I'm going to just take 3 months off, and I'm like, no, please don't do that. Please try and do something to keep the message going, keep marketing yourself. And then there's others that are like, yes, I'm going to do it, I'm going to get out there and do it.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things. I was in a conversation last night on another lady's podcast, and she was saying she feels that this jolt, we've all had like this international jolt and a shock, and for some people it's been incredibly inspiring, and for people just too scary, so they've kind of gone into hibernation. But it's a really interesting time in history to kind of watch that human behavior and how people are reacting to it.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely. It's interesting what you say, going back to your Selfie Skool. Are you finding that people are now putting themselves in front of the camera more and not being quite so shy? I mean, for me, I mean, and going back to what you said in your intro about, you know, knowing who you are as a brand, that personal brand, putting your face in front of the camera, it's quite a thing, isn't it? It's quite, it takes.
Yeah, I think when I was trying, yeah, it takes a lot of confidence, but the thing that I struggled with, so when I first set up, I was a photographer. I did all types of photography for anyone who was going to give me money. I had 2 studios in the Northeast, and my brand was Pearman Photography, and I made it all. I had all these cute little graphics of pairs, and you had like the pairs that were getting married for my weddings, and a family of pairs, and a pregnant pair to kind of represent what I was doing. But I was very adamant that I was not the face of my brand. Even though my name is Pearman, I wanted to keep it like Pearman Photography, quite professional. But then when I started understanding more about personal branding, I started thinking, well, I'm not Victoria Beckham. Like, I don't want to come off as this. So now, welcome to my house, and here's all these details that I don't really want to share. But because I'm the face of my business, I've got to share them. So that was the thing that really I struggled a lot with. And I'm a big believer whenever I work with new clients, and especially with people who are trying to get into this idea of what it is to personally brand your business, I always say to them, come up with 5 themes. And these are the five themes that are definitely true. They're real, they're about you, and they're about your life, but they're 5 themes that you're very comfortable about going into an awful lot of detail about. So things that I'm never going to be sharing online. My relationship, my partner Tom, I call him the Viking on social media. He really doesn't like social media, and he wants his privacy protected. I will not talk about religion. I think that's just asking for trouble in a business capacity. I'm very, very careful about not talking about politics. And I've got my 5 themes because I felt so uncomfortable about being the face of my business. But when I've got my 5 themes that I really love, so Suki the cat is the worst employee ever. She's actually just sleeping up here now, so you might see a cat leap across the screen. I love cocktails, so that's one of my themes. Addicted to traveling, which right now we're in lockdown, but it is still one of my themes. Living a vintage life, and I'm passionate about feminism and like modern girl power. So that might be the only time I get a little bit political. I might be sharing things to help raise awareness about that, but I still am very careful about the way that I communicate it. But those 5 things, I would be happy talking to anybody, even waiting for a bus. I could go into a lot of detail, personal detail about those 5 themes. And that's the way that I think you can build a personal brand and be really comfortable with it. And having those themes helps you build your confidence as well, because you're like, well, I know about that. I'm really passionate about that. And you're not worrying that all of a sudden like you're on MTV Cribs or something like that.
That's really interesting, and that's really they're really like 5 top tips actually. Anyone watching this can take away and think, oh yeah, I can do that, and that'll make me feel more confident when I'm having my photo taken, or I'm looking at my personal branding and what I'm going to be comfortable doing and saying, and that's really helpful actually.
That's right. Yeah, so I was I was in a group at the beginning of the week, and this lady was a VA, and she said, Laura, I love what you say about personal branding. All the people that you do photos of are so interesting and vibrant, but I'm just a boring PA. And I was like, no, you're not. You've got 5 things in your personality about you. And we had a bit of a one-to-one chat. Turns out she's got this whole cool fascination with chickens, and she's been collecting chickens for all these years. Now, first of all, you think, well, what's that got to do with the fact that she's a VA? But the clever branding is when you can make that storyline work with it. And then guess what? You become memorable, and you're like, oh, she's the chicken VA. Oh yeah, I know who she is.
Yeah.
That's the way that you really master personal branding, I think.
Yeah, excellent, brilliant. Okay, I want to talk to you about your Mwah TV. So I went on the other day and I know you've posted on Instagram quite recently about is it the Creative Contagion?
Yes, it is, yes.
Yeah, so you were with 3 other photographers, 2 from the US and 1 who was fairly local to your area. And you gave them some themes really of and to come up with some creative.
Yeah.
But tell us a bit more about that, and then
that's right. So
a bit more about Mwah TV.
Okay, my dear. So the Creative Contagion, like I said before, I have I'm handling anxiety and depression all the time. And when this whole thing first happened, I freaked out, and I knew, because of the way that I know how I work, was like, right, Laura, get busy, get focused into something. What can I do? Everyone's at home, everyone's miserable. What can we do to make people smile? Like in terms of where I fit in the economy, I'm the happy, bright, that's what I bring. And that's part of my brand. So I thought, how can I do this? And I randomly got talking to George, who is the chap who's based in New York, and we're talking on the side of being in a community group where we'd all agree to go on this webinar and basically freak out together and figure out what we're all going to do with our businesses. Anyway, George and I started a separate conversation, and I was like, so how much money have you lost? And he reckoned he'd lost about 30 grand US in his pipeline. I knew I had just done the sum. I'd lost 15k. That was going to get me up to the summertime. And I was like, right, we had already planned. George was going to come over this month actually to a conference. And we had already planned to meet up and go out for beers. And I said, do you know what? Let's just screw it. We've lost all this money. Let's just do something anyway. And he was like, well, you tell me what to shoot and I'll shoot it. So I came up literally at that moment. I think I'd had half a glass of wine. I was like, right, here's 3 themes. We'll agree to go off and shoot it, and I tell you what, you invite a friend and I'll invite a friend, and there you go, 4 different photographers shooting 3 different themes about it. And while I was creating so I submitted my work into it as well. While I was creating my work, I started thinking, hang on a minute, this is a really cool way to capture this moment in time. I wonder, could this maybe be a collection? Could this be a body of work where all of these freelancers who've really suffered have made it into a good thing and made it into a positive thing? So I'm now inviting all these different photographers, all these different creatives to try and formulate the next one. And I'm going to try and get 4 of them done. They take such a lot of time to make, but people have absolutely loved it. I've had so many people get in touch and say, Laura, that was like 20 minutes. I sat down with the kids and we just absolutely loved it. So please do another. So I'm just coming up with 3 more themes for the second round, and I'm going to keep trying to do it while we're in lockdown. And who knows, maybe by the end of it I'll have a gallery collection or something.
Really interesting, because I mean, I'm not a photographer. I don't know all the technicalities and intricacies, you know, the details and all the intricacies with it. That's not right. What's the word? Anyway,
intricacies.
Yeah, my brain's not engaged this morning. But what I really found was interesting is their explanation of the piece, and you know how they shot it, and the sort of feeling behind it, and the emotion that it brought to it. And when they were discussing it, I kind of saw it in a whole new light. I was like, oh my god, yeah, that really kind of.
So Stacey, that was basically what it was like to be at doing a photography degree for 2 years. I loved all of that. You'd have these class crits, and the tutor would give you an assignment like, go and photograph this in that way on this camera with this film. And then the whole class would come together, and he would stand on the table, like all the tables would get pushed together. He'd stand on the table, we'd all have to lay our work down, and then we'd all have to walk around, and he would like point to a shot, and we'd all just talk about it. And I absolutely loved it. And people would always say in my class, Laura, you say the weirdest things in my work, and you've got all these strange references to like old black and white films. I was the grandma in the class, so people were like, we don't know what you're talking about. But it's such a powerful part of being a photographer, and it's so emotional. Like when I saw that picture of George and he'd taken a photograph of his son crying, it was emotional. But then, exactly like what you've just said, when I played the voiceover, my heart broke. I was like, this is so sad, but it's so powerful, isn't it, as a body of work to get there.
And what was it really interesting is all of your different takes on a theme, all of them completely different.
Yeah, so this is a really interesting thing, actually. I think a lot of people think, oh, I'll hire a professional photographer to shoot my wedding. I'll hire a professional photographer to do my business shots. And people think like, oh, well, it's just a photographer. They know how to use a camera, same old, same old. Absolutely no. And I think that is really, I've always been trying to explain that in my episodes of Mwah TV, but actually showing it in that way, it really makes the point that you have to have a good relationship with your photographer. You have to really feel like your photographer understands why you do what you do. And when they do, they can really pull that emotion out on your behalf through an image.
Yeah, fantastic. So you've got some more of that coming up. What else have you got coming up on Mwah TV? Have you got any other episodes coming up?
Yeah, so I put a show out every single Friday. I've had that deadline in my brain since I got really serious, which was nearly a year ago in May. So I've nearly done a show every Friday for a whole year, including Christmas and New Year, by the way. So I don't know, I haven't really set it. I'm just going to keep on going. So my first goal, obviously, with it was to get to 100 subscribers. I've done that. I'm now on my way to getting 200 subscribers, but I'm just getting a show out every week. So right now, we had all of these shows that had been pre-recorded that were planned around how you hire a good photographer, what's the right photography service for you. But as soon as lockdown happened, I thought, well, they're not really relevant. That's not helping anybody anytime soon. So we've kind of changed all of the schedule, and I'm doing things around selfies. So we've got an episode coming out this week, which is all about selfies for business and how you can get by right now during lockdown. Then we're doing some more stuff around how you make selfies and images work better on Instagram. We've had a collection about how you edit your images on your phone. So I'm really kind of focusing on episodes that help people right now.
Yeah, that's interesting. And I saw your post, I think it might have been tail end of last week, about, was it Lightroom, and using the Lightroom app, particularly selfies. So that's a really good post to go and check out on Laura's Instagram. Brilliant. So there's a lot coming up for you then. You know, you're still keeping busy, although things have changed and you've had to adapt a little bit.
That's right, yeah. So it's a really interesting time. Like, I'm totally fine to be completely open. So I've been kind of dabbling with this selfie thing, and it's been in the background. So obviously I've always seen it as a good thing to have as an extra income stream. But because my photography is so much more lucrative, that's always taken priority. So I might have started tinkering a little bit with something to do with Love Your Selfie or Selfie Skool, and then I get a booking in. Well, obviously that all goes to the back of the room because this is where my money is right now. Follow the money. But it's been really interesting. So I've tried a few different things in the online space. You know, a lot of my clients have made lots of money in the online arena. And I've always thought to myself, for a good like 3.5, 4 years, I want a slice of that action. How do I make that work for me? But I've never really like hit the nail on the head and found a way that I can make it my own. And I think a lot of people right now are seeing this and saying, right, so should I just set up a YouTube channel? Like, should I just stick out a course? I need to do something online. And I've really dabbled with this for such a long time. So right now, in addition, we've just finished a survey. So I've run like a month-long survey saying to people, because I've tried a few things and a few of them haven't worked, Stacey. I'm more than happy to admit that. So I thought, right, before I go and do anything major, I'm going to ask people, like they always say you should do a survey. So I've put this out and we've got nearly 100 responses, but it's really given me a crystal clear direction on what I can create that is going to work for people. It's what people actually want. So I think that's a really valuable tip I would share with anybody right now if they're thinking, I need to get something going online. Okay, first, before you jump into anything, before you jump into buying all this software to put like courses out or anything like that, do a survey of your previous clients and then follow it after that.
Excellent, excellent. So how can people find you, Laura, if they want to connect with you or get in touch with you, or, you know, find Mwah TV, Selfie Skool? How can they?
So I am omnipresent on social media. I know some people aren't really into that, but I am, because I love chatting with people everywhere. So you can find me on pretty much any social media platform following L Pearman Photos. Now, I am not all the time on all of them, so if you want to see me in real time, you're much more likely to see me playing around on Instagram stories or chatting with people in the feed. So if you want me right now, go to Instagram under that same hanger. Mwah TV is just MWAH TV in YouTube, and that should bring me up there. I'd love to get some more people watching this show, so yeah, I'm really interested in that. And in all of that content, I put regular links out to different parts of Selfie Skool. But if you want to go to my website and take a look for yourself, I'm at laurapearman.com.
Excellent. Oh, thanks for chatting with me today, Laura. It's been really lovely to talk to you. I look forward to seeing you more on Instagram. I look forward to your stories and your posts. And yeah, thanks so much for featuring in Limepixel Limelight. It's good to chat to you. All the best.
And you, my love. Thank you so much for having me on the show.
Oh, you're welcome. Thanks, Laura.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
Mwah.